leave me alone. I just want to get out, and I don't even know where to get out, please. Please stop it, no. Just let me stab you. Please be so kind and let me stab you. It's my only shot. Zigzag, 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 zigzag. Maybe what they call the booty. If this is what they call the booty hole, I'm not gonna call it that because that's unrefined. Instead, I'm gonna call it my nose. And I'm gonna put the milk in there because I feel like that's the only logical thing that should be up my nose. So, what the frick is an Escape from Tarkov? I'll tell you what the frick an Escape from Tarkov is. It's like Call of Duty had a weird freaking baby with Hunt Showdown, but instead of being like Hunt Showdown and Call of Duty, where they got these epic trained fighters sending them in on an epic mission where they do cool stuff, you do have a protagonist that is trying to do a lot of cool things. The only problem is he's kind of a spoilt baby princess that always has to get his way, and if he doesn't get his way, he starts grumbling, whining, and just being intolerable. Which honestly, like, I think I relate to him the most. I think it's perfect for a girl like me to have a protag that also relates to me, because me too, if you sent me into an active, scary gang conflict, I would constantly be wondering, hey, I need a snacky. I'm going dark in the eyes. I need water. I can't breathe. I can't think if you don't give me water. Yeah, you're shooting me in the foot, but I'm starving right now. Where is my snack? I'm gonna faint. That's exactly what I would think if you sent me into an active conflict. So really, I've got a lot in common with him. Just get me out of Tarkov. Get me the frick out of Tarkov. So this video is indeed from the perspective of somebody that is challenged in every single sphere that is important to video games. I am directionally impaired. I am mechanically impaired. I have no game knowledge. I'm kind of silly. I don't have good attention span. Nothing. Basically nothing. You know? It's just, we're just going. We're just gonna have fun. That's kind of just my philosophy. And what did I learn from it? What was it all for? Why did I do this? Good question. I'm gonna tell you at the end. I'm gonna tell you what I did at the end, okay? So you better watch. You better watch. That's all I'm gonna say. Let's get into it. So I loaded into the PvP tutorial mission with a racing heart, so much anxiety, and so much anticipation. And I was hyper aware of every single sound in the universe, which is expected because I know that that's how this game works. I hope this thing doesn't open. That would be really not cool. Ah! No, you didn't hear that. I'm sorry. Sound really freaking matters. Sometimes it's the only thing you have to be able to identify that there's an enemy right in front of you. The first few minutes of me being in this game were genuinely just me fumbling, trying to figure out how to loot, trying to figure out what mattered, trying to figure out what the frick was happening, because the game certainly wasn't gonna tell me, so I was on my own. Somehow, I managed to figure out a few important concepts on my own. For example, the safe pocket and the beautiful methodology of putting a backpack in a backpack. And that's honestly all that I figured out until it was time for me to get into my first combat encounter. I was absolutely terrified, but honestly guys, I did pretty freaking well. You know, like my aim was doing pretty good compared to usual. People were going down. I was able to see people with my eyes for once, you know, and I'm sure it had absolutely nothing to do with the fact that the AI felt like I was fighting a mirror image of myself. It would be crazy if it had anything to do that. I think it was all completely skill. You know, I don't think that the way that the AI will program to not see you when you're right in front of them, right next to them, or be able to hear you or sense you whatsoever, I don't know, guys. I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think that I'm just, like, that good, honestly. And everything was chill until I ran into some evil freaking barbed wire. It was unnecessary for it to be there, and I wish it wasn't there because it was really scary to not know what was happening. I was just bleeding and I didn't even know how to fix it. But very well, you know, it was a temporary setback. It was nothing major. I brushed it off, I continued on, you know? I could keep it together. I was better than this guy. The real issue seemed to begin when my gun seemed to have either jammed or ran out of ammo or something was wrong with it. It was not not shooting. It wasn't going pew-pew. You know, my gun was not going pew-pew. At the same time as this, little spoiled princess began to act out, even whilst I was keeping my composure. So he was thirsty and hungry. He was becoming a bullet sponge to the elements because he couldn't shoot. He was limping. He was exhausted. And he just had a vast array of ailments that he was afflicted with. Dehydrated. What does that say? Heavy bleeding. Heavy bleeding, fractured. Both my legs are fractured. I'm on painkillers. I have a tremor. I'm fatigued. What's the point in going on anymore? I don't even want to make it to the freaking exit. What kind of life awaits me after this? Like, I don't know, he's squishy, he's made out of mush. I don't know what to tell you. I would have done better. Honestly, guys, if you sent me in there, I would have done a lot better. You know, he has no resilience, no backbone, nothing. But he's immortal in the tutorial, which means that both me and him were just stuck in this circle of torment where we were surviving. It was hardly living. It was hardly living, and yet we couldn't leave. I couldn't leave, it didn't end. I even tried to pull my knife out, and I figured out how to pull it out, but I couldn't figure out how to freaking use it. I didn't know how to go stab. You know, I thought that there would be hope for me if I did. Finding extract was barely even an option at this point. It was just too disorienting. I was starting to panic, you know? This guy's loss of cool was starting to make me lose my cool. Just when I thought it would never end, everything finally went dark, and I was free from that relentless, agonizing purgatory, and met with the sad conclusion that, ladies and gentlemen, I failed a tutorial. The good news is I reasoned that, hey, it can only go up from here. It can't possibly get worse after failing a tutorial, right? Well, honestly, yeah. You know what? Yeah, that was kind of the worst of it. I'm gonna surprise you all and say that the next 2 times around, one being the PvE tutorial and one being a real PvE match, things were better. My eyes were suddenly more attuned to finding loot that I needed given the issues that I had before, like hunger and thirst and pain, and my freaking carnal loot goblin instincts, they finally kicked in. I just wanted everything. I wanted absolutely everything that I could see. It all had to be mine. Not only that, but NPCs, they made nothing to me. I was mowing them down left and right. Until they were nothing but piles of mush, I was just freaking going for it. I was unstoppable. My kill counts both times were huge considering who I am and what I've been through, if you know anything about me. That being said, it wasn't without issues. For example, I couldn't figure out how to reload properly. I don't even know what to say about this. I don't know, maybe I'll figure it out next time. And the second issue was, during the only actual PvE match that I did, I couldn't figure out how to actually escape from Tarkov. You know, I didn't know how to extract. I didn't know the keybind to see the list of extract. I had absolutely no clue. So really, the strategy was just run in a random direction and hope for the best. And this would have been a good plan. I mean, it was the only plan I could have had. But somehow, it still resulted in me exploding. Not only that, I exploded 3 times. You know, 3 separate explosions went off, and I would just say landmine, but where the heck was it? I didn't see it. Why were there 3 of them in a row? It makes absolutely no sense. And it's annoying in the game this challenging that I had a full backpack of amazing loot that I was so excited to go home with. My first real loot run. And you know what happened? I didn't die to a scav. I didn't die to a PMC. I didn't die to anything freaking important. Not a boss or nothing. I died to a freaking explosion that came out of nowhere? How is that even freaking fair? How is that even fair? So now that I had a good grasp of the challenging and unfair and cruel world of Tarkov, there was only one thing left to do, which was PvE with multiplayer.
All right, Allie, so what do you want to do?
I want to get all the money, all this stuff, all of the things, and then I want to leave here alive. That's all I want to do. Oh, what was that? So I grabbed good old Zombivore. A lot of you know him, I know you do. And I went into a PvE match with him. And I gotta say that just like in most games, when you don't know what you're doing, getting someone in a game with you that knows just a little bit more than you, it does make a huge difference. You can turn your brain off a little bit more and be like a passenger princess, so you can focus on what really matters to you. And I didn't need to worry about where the heck I was going, because all I had to do was follow him and I'd get to somewhere good, you know? I didn't even need to use my ears as much, because I had a second pair of ears and I had a second pair of eyes, you know? It was all going so well, and I even got my first PMC kill. That was, of course, until we ran into the evil freaking demon Santa Claus, freaking aimbot evil monster. He showed me absolutely no mercy. I was stuck in a loop of slowly whittling him down, hiding behind this car, whittling him down again, and then hiding behind the car and healing, and it wasn't looking very good. I already had a blacked right arm. Every other status effect was coming into play. I was running out of time. It was an epic showdown for everything. For the victory, for the goods, for the honor, for the glorious ending to my video, and worst of all, the extract was literally right there. I just had to walk like a tiny little bit and I'd be home free. I'd be safe. And he was so close to death when suddenly the unthinkable happened. And even though I was victorious in my epic showdown with Santa, I lost a precious comrade along the way.
Again, Seth, are you okay? Did I kill you? I don't think I did. He had a red backpack on. Seth? Seth? Did you disconnect, dude? Did you die?
My one guiding light, my one beacon of hope and direction, he was lost to Demon Santa, and I was on my own in unknown, uncharted, terrifying, gun-ridden lands. And without a right arm, too. And what was I to do? Well, I did what anybody would do. I grabbed all of Zombivore's valuables and ran in the direction that he told me to over Discord. It's kind of that simple. And there you go, you know? It was my first successful extract. But what was the cost? Can we just ask ourselves that for a second? What was the cost? Needless to say, everybody, I really didn't do as bad at Tarkov as I thought I would, but I know the actual truth here, which is that this is only a taste of the actual torment and unfairness that is this game. And I know that because to begin with, I only managed to navigate out of the ground zero map once or twice, and it was completely by accident. And I know that that's the easiest map in the game. Everybody knows that I'm extremely directionally impaired, and I'm very easy to confuse, and that means that I most likely have no chance of getting out of the other maps. Add that onto the fact that PvE is basically a playground compared to what awaits me in PvP, and let's just say that, like, I don't know, I'm cooked. I'm cooked. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know if my odds are looking very good. I've got a whole lot of training ahead if I want to make any good progress in this game. So it's a good thing that on my Twitch channel, you're all there for the ride and you can backseat game the heck out of me until I do exactly what you want me to do, which in this case, I hope is victory. I'm planning for Tarkov to be one of the regular games I stream, and my goal is to train in PvE enough to be able to eventually take on PvP. But I know you sick monsters like to watch me suffer, so I'm gonna make you a deal. If you do nothing and you just stay there and you chill, I'll take my merry time slowly training up until I feel personally ready to try PvP. But if you get this video to 1,000 likes, then I will literally make the next Tarkov stream PvP only, no matter what my skill level is at. Otherwise, if we never reach it, I may just wait till I'm ready, and that could be never for all I know. So be sure to subscribe, share this video, like this video if you want what I said to happen. And you know, you can catch me 3 days a week on Twitch if you miss me too much. And if this video made you angry and you had stuff to say to me, you can pop into there too, and you can help me out next time I'm lost in Tarkov and have no idea how to escape. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye!